So I want to start today with something we actually talked about on the bonus show last week. We talked on the bonus show last week, thanks to Pat choosing the story. Quite frankly, I hadn't even read it, which is part of the problem. Joe Biden has quietly almost completely ended the drone war that has become essentially the status quo of American foreign policy to slightly different degrees since George W. Bush, through Barack Obama, and including Donald Trump. And the corporate media has barely mentioned it. As we were talking about it last week, I realized we really should be talking about this more broadly. There's been this bizarre reversal on foreign policy perspectives for the Republican Party, really since Donald Trump started running for president back in 2015, when suddenly Republicans were pretending they don't like war, that they don't like military incursions, that they don't like interventionist foreign policy, when really those have been the hallmark of neoconservative republicanism for several decades at this point in time. And if you think back, it sort of started with Donald Trump saying that Iraq war, that was a disaster. Trump started with that. And it was always BS. Trump's initial political constituency was heavily made up of people who supported the Iraq war under George W. Bush, and admittedly people who were sort of right-wing, reactionary, but were not really following politics under George W. Bush, either because of their age or because they just weren't paying attention. And so they bought it. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. Trump and Republicans, now they're against war. Then it went to, the leftists who didn't like Hillary started building on it with the Hillary stuff, and the Hillary's going to start 4 wars stuff, and Donald Trump isn't going to do that. That became the story, and it mostly transitioned right into Joe Biden's presidency with this idea that if you reelect Donald Trump, he'll keep us out of war. But if you elect Joe Biden, it means that more wars are coming. Biden was going to go to war. I mean, I don't even remember now. Biden was going to go to war with North Korea and China and Iran and Russia and all this different stuff. Now, I said at the time, I don't see any appetite from Joe Biden for doing those things. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. But there's another story here that's actually what we're talking about today. One of Barack Obama's biggest foreign policy sort of conflicts with my ideology, and I talked about this all through the Obama administration, was the drone war. Trump continued the drone war massively. He didn't talk about it that much because remember, it was Hillary who was going to do the war and the bombings, not Trump. But Trump continued Barack Obama's drone war, which was an escalation of George W. Bush's drone war. Now, maybe Bush would have done more if the technology had been more mature at the time. Barack Obama had the benefit of that. But now we have the reality. And the reality is that Joe Biden has almost completely ended the American drone war. Joe Biden's not really saying that much about it. The White House isn't really saying that much about it. Neither is corporate media. But it's a huge, massive story. There was that one strike during the Afghanistan withdrawal, which went horribly wrong, killed civilians, just absolute disaster. But Joe Biden has almost completely halted drone strikes and airstrikes in general. We have to call this what it is, which is a foreign policy victory in my mind. And it's also a communications and PR failure by being almost completely silent about it. Under Bush, we started droning. Barack Obama did even more. Donald Trump continued. Huge debate, controversy. But then look at what Joe Biden has now done. Enters office, first of all, sets up a system that requires White House approval for any strike outside of a war zone. And listen to these numbers. In Donald Trump's first 11 months in office, he did 1,600 air and artillery strikes per Air Wars, which tracks drone strikes, in Iraq and Syria alone. Air Wars reports 4 under Joe Biden's first 11 months. Not 400, not 40 or 40, as Joe Biden says, just 4 of them. Strikes in Somalia down 75% from last year to fewer than 10. No civilian casualties. In Yemen, instead of 18 strikes last year down to 4. This is a massive change. But the real question is why the Biden White House has been so quiet about it. Is it because the Afghanistan airstrike, the drone strike, went so wrong that they just don't even want to talk about the fact that there is still some droning going on? Is it because it will lead to Joe Biden being called weak by Republicans, which, of course, remember, under Trump, Republicans claimed they are the ones who don't want to do interventionist foreign policy, strikes, war, etc. But at the same time, the Republican Party has a long history of pointing to Democrats and saying, oh, you don't want to go to war? You don't want to go to Iraq? You don't want to take this person out? That? Well, then you're actually the weak one. Is it a fear of that that's keeping the Biden administration from talking about this major accomplishment more? Is it because Joe Biden doesn't like to brag? I mean, there's a couple people emailed me and they said it's not Joe Biden constitutionally. Joe Biden doesn't like bragging, and that's why he's not doing it. He's he's bragged about vaccines. He's bragged about. I don't think that that's it. So a few different things here. Number one, of course, there's the reality that sometimes you're droning instead of sending in boots on the ground. And this was a big debate early in the big campaigns under Barack Obama, which was, well, we may be using drone warfare here instead of boots on the ground. And if either way we're going to do damage, do we prefer it be done without boots on the ground? That's not the debate now. Joe Biden's not talking about, he certainly doesn't seem to be thinking about boots on the ground. He's just dramatically reduced drone airstrikes. And we should be glad about that. Let me know your thoughts, number one, about why you don't think it's being talked about by the Biden administration. And maybe just as importantly, number two, why isn't the corporate media covering it? But they may be both related things.